Hi, Hallmarkies. You know what time it is. It's time for another new movie, new year movie review from the Hallmark channel. It is Loveuary, baby. And this Loveuary, if you haven't been following, Hallmark has been doing Jane Austen themed movies. They started off with Paging Mr. Darcy. I thought that one was really slow, didn't enjoy it, but I gave it a 7 out of 10, saying at least tune in for yourself. Just because I'm not a Jane Austen fan, I just think the 2 books I read from her, but I read it a very long time ago, I just thought they were okay. So I told you guys I would score these movies a 7 or above. You know my scoring. 7 out of 10 means it's at least worth tuning in if you have time. Just because I'm not a Jane Austen fan, so I gave these movies an extra point just to say, like, it's not really my thing, but still tune in for it, just to be a little fair with my scoring. So, Paging Mr. Darcy, I did not enjoy. Love and Jane, last weekend, starring Alison Sweeney and Benjamin Ayres, I actually really loved that, and I gave it a 9 out of 10. So, when I did the review last week, I did not read the Hallmark Facebook page comments about the movie, and some people thought Love and Jane, that it was really slow at times. I did not find that movie slow, but I'm a huge Alison Sweeney fan. So, I mean, I watched it from beginning to end without scrolling. I've rewatched it a bunch of times. So that 9 out of 10 that I gave it, I truly believe in that scoring, but some people did say it wasn't their thing. Megan and I didn't get to talk about Love and Jane. I know she liked Paging Mr. Darcy, and she hasn't watched An American in Austen yet. Okay, so let's get to the scoring for today's movie. Baby, Hallmark is going to make me eat my shorts. When Paging Mr. Darcy premiered, I literally said, oh my God, Loveuary is gonna drag, honey, and I'm just not gonna enjoy these movies. Then they picked up the pace with Love and Jane, and I was like, okay, I see what you're doing. An American in Austen, I'm giving a 10 out of 10. I thought it was brilliantly written, acted, directed. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it did a great job of bridging the 1800s with 2024 in dating and marriage. And I already know what I've always known. I could not have survived the 1800s, not just because I'm Black, but also just in general because everything was focused on getting the right suitor, and it wasn't necessarily always about love. Sometimes you had to get a suitor so that you could continue your family's name and make sure they still have wealth for generations to come. And baby, I'm always so glad I came to this country with a green card, because if I hadn't, then marriage would have had to be the #1 thing once I turned 18. And I always tell my parents, especially my dad, I always say, oh my God, I would have never been able to survive it. I would have never been able to survive it. And he's like, we would have figured it out if it came down to it. Meaning he wouldn't have sold me off like some sheep that was going to be out to slaughter. But that's neither here nor there. But still, this movie reminded me that the fact that marriage can depend on so much for a woman in the 1800s is kind of a scary thought to me. So it was wonderful to see Harriet bring 2024 thoughts into 1800s Pride and Prejudice as we watch the Bennet sisters and their potential suitors maneuver love and potentially marriage. So I'm going to tell you this, I definitely am going to give this movie a 10 out of 10. I definitely think that it is something worth watching. It was entertaining. It was great. I laughed. I actually was at the edge of my seat. I think I texted Megan when I was about 1 hour and 15 minutes in. I was at the edge of my seat in this movie trying to figure out how it was going to end. And that's when I know a movie is great, baby, is when I honestly don't know how it's going to end. How is it all going to work? Okay, you guys are wondering about the premise of the movie. Let's get into the premise. All right, so in modern times, we meet Harriet. She looks like she's a librarian / writer. She's working on a book, but somehow she just doesn't know how to finish it up. Anybody that's a writer, like myself, we know what that's like when you kind of just hit a point where no new material is coming up. You've hit a wall and you've just got a huge writer's block. We see that her wonderfully cute and adorable boyfriend Ethan comes to pick her up. It's their anniversary. She leaves work early and she goes to a restaurant with him, and we immediately can see that Harriet and Ethan are perfectly paired. He ordered a special table for them, but now they have a table that's like close to the bar and, you know, next to the window, and you know, you see like waiters bumping into their table and they're laughing. So instantly we see that Hallmark has paired these two together, and we know that they have love because we see that they have chemistry, and we can see that they're equally yoked because as much as he wanted the special table for her, she said any table with Ethan is a special table. So now Harriet realizes that she lost her phone. She doesn't have her phone. She probably left it at the library. Ethan's like, no problem. After dinner, we'll swing by. Okay, they swing by the library, and what do you know? Ethan has a special proposal prepared along with Harriet's friends that are helping him for Harriet. And he starts to sing. We see the guitar and we're like, oh my God, Hallmark is bringing the romance at the beginning of the movie, and we like Ethan, so what could go wrong? Baby, what went wrong is Harriet said maybe to the proposal. She said maybe. So that's not a yes, that's not a no, but she said maybe, honey. And as a barefooted Harriet is getting into the taxi, her friends are putting her into the taxi and telling her she need to get herself all the way together because this fine ass man just proposed to her, and she said maybe, and it's a man they know she loves. As Harriet is going into the yellow cabbie, she says, she wished it was Mr. Darcy. Like, she wishes it was Mr. Darcy because she thinks that if it's like a Mr. Darcy moment in Pride and Prejudice, then she'll know that's the person that she should marry. She gets into the taxi and boom, all of a sudden Harriet is in a carriage, baby, and it is the 1800s. She is still in her 2024 clothes, which I laughed because they were just like, do Americans wear their nightgowns everywhere? Baby, in 2024, your nightgown for some people, especially some celebrities, definitely can be formal wear. Definitely can be something you get proposed to. And baby, even though I don't wear nightgowns like that, I definitely am a fan of the lingeries. Anyway, so she arrives in front of the Bennett house, and we realize that Harriet is a cousin to the Bennett family. Now, what's funny about this is the actress that plays Harriet, her name is actually Eliza Bennett. Her last name is Bennett. Okay, wait, I took a screenshot of the cast for those that I could get like a photo of them. So hold on, let me show you that. Okay, so as you guys can see, Eliza Bennett, she plays Harriet. And she is now part of the real Pride and Prejudice Bennett family, at least in this movie. And she gets to be with all 5 sisters as they maneuver love, family ship, and possible proposals in the 1800s. And it's so funny because Harriet tells them that she's older than 30, and they basically call her a spinster. And definitely, make note of that traditions are really different in America. And, it's just a really hilarious and fun movie. I think I'm going to have to do a part 2. But once again, here's the cast. It's not everybody. So Nicholas Bishop played Mr. Darcy, and there's not a photo here for him, which I am sad about. But here are some of the Bennett sisters, and then here are some of their suitors. And the gentleman at the very bottom, I think he's Ethan. All right, let me go back. So here we are watching Harriet maneuver life in the 1800s from the corsets. Baby, one thing I love about that time period is no matter what your waistline looked like, they really focus on the cleavage. Even though I'm more of a Gilded Age era woman because I like everything bump, 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 bump. This era in the 1800s, they hide all your curves. And as a matter of fact, curves are pretty frowned upon. As they describe, Charlotte's shape is kind of like an apple. Anyway, let's stay tuned for part 2. I know I'm a little tongue-tied, but I'm so excited. Definitely watch An American in Austen. 10 out of 10. I'm going to go into what I really loved about the movie in part 2.